Welcome to another episode of I Call Top Bunk podcast. I'm your host, Fluff. This episode, I get to sit down with my two friends from A Day to Remember, Kevin Skaff and Neil Westfall. I am going to be without my lovely, handsome guest host, Hans Hesberg, as he lives on the other side of the state, and he couldn't make it over because he's a working musician and had to make those coins, rather. Also note that this episode is going to start slightly abruptly because I had a little bit of a technical issue with the audio and it didn't trigger, or it started to trigger and then stopped for some reason. So I missed the first 5 or 6 minutes of the conversation. And basically the crux is I was asking them about the production of their shows and how there always seems to be upping the game on all of their tours year after year, right? So that's basically what we're talking about and how they execute and how they kind of come up with a bigger and bigger stage show year after year. So that's kind of where we're at before you'll hear me realize that I didn't catch the first 5 or 6 minutes of the conversation. So without further ado, Kevin Skaff and Neil Westfall from A Day to Remember.
Probably 3 weeks out.
3 weeks?
Dude, it's we talk about it a lot, like leading up to it, and we'll like mention to our manager like this, and then like it always comes down to like the wire. Like on this one, I think we were about a month out for real.
You'd be surprised because we'll bring up all these ideas and then they'll try to execute said ideas, and this will be 3 or 4 months out, and then they'll come back 2 months later after that, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, we can't do this." And then we're like, "Cool." And the tour is in a month and a half.
Yeah,
right. So then we have to take
Cancel
what we
most of the
can from
idea.
that idea and then restructure it somehow, and it's a fucking headache.
It's a lot. It's always like the craziest 3 weeks. The first show is like, "Is this gonna work?" It works, and we're like, "Oh, okay. We can breathe now." And then it's like show 2, it's like, okay, now let's refine. And then it's like we're like literally doing work on the tour.
Yes.
There's
also very few people when it comes to like staging and like cool shit, there's very few people that will just be like, "We can't do that." There's just they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we can make that work." And
until like, it's time to
and now that we've done this a lot, we're like,
all right, so
really tell us the fucking truth.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we can do it.
Yeah.
And then half the time, they're like, "No, never mind."
So if you were just joining us on another episode of I Call Top Bunk, I'm here with Kevin and Neil from A Day to Remember. I forgot to hit record, apparently, and we have been talking for hours, not hours, but you know, like
we told them the
7
secret
hours.
of the Holy Grail. We talked about our new role in the Indiana Jones remake that's starring me and Kevin.
And they played us the next 3 albums, and I forgot to hit record. I am so sorry.
Sorry.
And we are missing my co-host, Hans Hesberg. Amazon lost him. Normally they did, I ordered him next Prime Day, but they did that thing where it doesn't ship until 3 days, and then it takes a day.
He was also here. He talked for 6 hours, but then he had to leave.
That's right. Yeah. Apologies for everyone at home. We were talking about, your production and your show and how it's grown over the years. I would love to talk to you guys about your role in and how I perceive your usage of social media really early on. We had Cove on here, and we were talking about how they were one of the only bands back in the day, them and Under Oath, that were doing like SEO TV and stuff, but those were predominantly like, "Hey, we're the band, how's it going?" You guys were the first band that I ever recall doing like full-blown skits on the internet and putting them out and hyping up your audience during the process of you guys writing a record. What was that born out of? Was it just studio boredom? Was it just lots of downtime? Just trying to make each other laugh? Like, what was that? Because that is now currently, that's the model that all bands do and use now. But at the time, social media was a pretty new thing. And it was basically people were trying to get the word about you guys out using social media, whereas now it's the other way around. People use social media to get the word out about themselves. And I think that's a huge a key difference in how it's changed. But you guys were the first to do that, in my opinion.
Well, we wanted to make like remember those Blink-182 things, like where
Yeah.
it was like you would like do the most ridiculous thing, but it was like we couldn't let it actually be the most ridiculous thing, so it was like a scripted ridiculous thing, and we were just like trying to write it with Drew and like coming up with these ideas of like just being ridiculous, but also having somewhat of our personality in there, but not enough to be like, oh, they're fucking psychos.
Yeah.
Like the Golden Eagle stuff, or even going back to the Homesick stuff
Yeah.
of like, you know, Big Boss and like
Yeah.
all of those things. Like no one was doing that. I just, it always
Yeah.
seemed from an outside point of view that it was half like, hey, you know, it'd be really fucking funny, or just, hey, let's just do it and put it out and see what happens.
It was that, and we were blessed to kind of have Drew Russ and someone who could kind of like spearhead that like idea and like bring it to life, like where it'd be like, you know, it'd be really funny, and he'd be like, yeah, let's do it, and then we would do it, and it would be like we created this thing, and like when it was done, we were just like, this is so ridiculous and just like dumb, but we're like, this is like what we always wanted, you know, like we wanted to have those videos that like you see bands on tour or bands in the studio, and it would like we wanted to make it even crazier or dumber or just have fun, you know.
He would have like a rough script on kind of where he
Okay.
wanted it to go. So then a lot of it would be improvised. He'd be like, yeah, that's great, but can you say that with that? And we'd be like, yeah, let's give it another go.
So would these be, would those moments and those things happen in the midst of like, okay, well, we're tracking drums today, so you have all day to do fuck all.
In the Homesick ones, it was like that. It was like during the actual recording process. It was like we were making the record because we only had that space. So
Right.
Some of the Common Courtesy was done like that.
yeah, we did that. Yeah, because
Like-
that one went on. We recorded that for forever.
Forever at Jeremy's house.
Yeah, that's true. That was also then
Yeah,
too.
because then the seance thing was in Jeremy's garage while somebody else
Yeah.
was recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it was. They both were like that.
Yeah.
Do you think, had social media not been such a new thing, you guys maybe wouldn't have leaned into it as much? Was it at the time just a new outlet to get your stuff out there, or was it
I
just
don't even know if we even like thought about it as a thing. We were like, we're just gonna make this thing.
you're
and
just
put it
kind of
out
in the
there.
moment, right?
And I also think that we were like, we could put this on, you know, like a deluxe edition, whatever. And then they were like, yeah, we throw it on YouTube. It
Yeah,
wasn't
at
like
the
even
time-
a thing.
right.
It was like, it
No.
was just like, yeah, we'll throw it up there, kind of see how it goes.
Do you think you would still do that now if you guys started over and were 20 again? But you would be on the TikToks, the Instagrams, the
Yeah, I don't
YouTubes,
know. I mean, probably. I mean, we always like doing that kind of stuff. Like we like those like weird, dumb humor shows. Like,
Urethra Chronicles.
well, we loved
Oh,
all
yeah.
the tour stuff, but like, what's the shows now? Like all the like skit comedy
Like
shows.
the Wonder Shows and
Yeah, we
kind of
love
stuff?
that shit. So
I
like,
think you should leave.
yeah, like
Yeah.
we would probably lean into it more like that, and it would be even more ridiculous.
I think we would bring it back today too if we had like a nice high budget to do it and make it worth
We've
it.
talked about it,
But
Sure.
like
we've talked
as far as going and like how we used to, a million bands do that now. So it's just like we'd just be part of the herd.
Have you
Yeah,
seen
fair.
have you seen the Black Keys, their album rollout? On
Their
social
their
media?
marketing team did a good job. I
Yeah,
thought.
I have actually, and I didn't
was
even
using that
realize
as-
what I was watching until like the second one. I was like, oh shit, wait, this is
Yeah,
part
I
of
was
an
kind of
album
using
rollout.
that. We were like using that as an example. We're like, man, the production value on this is incredible. The writing is incredible.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I was like, if we could do something on this level, like, let's go, let's do
Yeah.
it. We talked about it.
That would be pretty cool.
It would
Yeah.
be fun.
I want to do some with
Those
Please Don't
writers-
Destroy.
Oh yeah,
Oh my god, that would be
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
that's
think-
like that's the level I think it would have to be for us to kind of like.
Yeah, if we
Those
wanted
the
to do it
guys
again.
though that were influenced by your guys' shit back in the day. Like you guys were it was like Saturday Night Live skits, but way more.
We use different. What do we
You
use?
know?
We use different. We use different influences for the intros of each one. One was like,
yeah.
I can't remember what they are now.
So Common Courtesy was like the Saved by the Bell.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then
What Separates was I don't remember the What Separates intros.
either.
Homesick was Real World.
Yeah, Real World. Yeah.
What a
Yeah,
pop
I don't
culture moment
that's like everything that we have always been inspired by is that like pop culture. Like a lot of the merchandise we do is like from like things we loved growing up, and like any of the things that we can like take and put our spin on it. And it's like the same thing, you know. It's like even like the song structure we write with is like pop songs that like are like taking it and spinning it in this way that we made our thing. So it's like we just have done it with each of the different types of media, I guess. I don't know.
When you guys were a young band and you guys were fusing multiple genres, metalcore, pop stuff, pop punk stuff, was that also just kind of what sounded cool and you just were trying to impress each other or yourselves? Or was it hey, you know what would be cool? Like, let's try this vocal structure and big melodies, but like fucking riffs.
I mean, in the beginning, it was like an argument, kind of like Jeremy and I wanted to kind of like be in like a hardcore band or like something that was like heavier, and then Tom was in like this metalcore band. It was called 2 Days Too Late. Like I was in that band. I got kicked out of that band, and then Tom joined, and they got heavier, and so they started writing like these like metalcore parts. Like we were inspired by like Glass Eater and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Evergreen Terrace. And then whenever Tom wanted to leave that band, he like wanted to be in a more poppy band, like a pop punk kind of like, I don't know, whatever, like that kind of style. And Taking Back Sunday was a huge influence on him. He loved Finch, whatever. So when we got together in the early parts, we were like just arguing on like we're like, well, we gotta have a breakdown in it. Like if we want to play these shows with these hardcore bands, we gotta have people.
If you want to play with 7 Star,
yeah, we wanted to play with 7 Star. We wanted to play with like all these hardcore bands from Florida, and we wanted to like actually fit in and like have people like us, I guess, you know. And so like it would be like, well, we're gonna write the stuff we also like because we like Blink-182, we love New Found Glory, we love all that. But then we're like, but we got to put a breakdown in it, and we're like, if there's a breakdown in it, it has to be an ass beating breakdown where you can actually mosh. It can't be like, you know, like all the other bands at the time were like, we'll put a heavy part, but it was like kind of like a rock down.
Yeah.
We're like, we want to put the heaviest,
all those like the Solid State type breakdowns almost.
Yeah. And it was sick. Like Under Oath was doing it. Like a bunch of people were doing it, but like we were like, look, if we want to be able to fit in at these shows, it's got to actually be a breakdown.
So it's kind of a product of your environment.
Oh, 100%.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
So I remember Jeremy commenting back in the day of like people would come up to you guys and be like, you can't do that.
I mean, we had people like in our friend circle that were like, this is a waste of your time. Like just pick one. Pick something and go with like whatever you're doing is weird and don't do that. And we're like, well, I mean,
it feels cool.
We're already just kind of doing it. And at the time, like there was this one show, it was like a July 4th show that was like a big fest at this venue in Ocala. It was called Easy Street. It was like a family fun center, but they would like let us play shows there. And it was the first time that like me and Jeremy made the merch board before the show the night before. We had like a new van we just got. We were like actually doing it. We're like, we're in it, you know? And then we went and played the show, and like we sold out of all of our merchandise. And it was like the first show where everyone in the whole venue like knew words to songs and moshed, and we were like that has never happened before. We're like, it was like a turning point for the band where we're like, okay, no, this is kind of cool. Like we're onto something.
Yeah.
And like we're gonna keep doing this thing.
And now you fast forward to 2024 and you can have tour packages that would never work.
Yeah.
Or those bands would never tour together unless it was under A Day to Remember.
That's kind of where I was going with that, in that you guys kind of set the expectation really early sonically. And so therefore bands that aren't in your genre at all, it's fine. That's to be kind of expected. I think it'd actually be more of a shocker if you didn't do that.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's also probably because of Napster.
Yeah.
Being able to mix CDs. Like back in the day, like you'd have like your friend that would make you a mix CD, and it'd be like Hopes Fall, and then it'd be like
Eminem.
Yeah, Eminem, and then it'd be like Limp Bizkit, and then it'd be
Saves Day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it would all be on one CD, and you'd be like, yeah, this is cool and normal.
This makes sense.
And now it's like Spotify playlists is like the exact same thing, and it's like that was like normal for us growing up.
It's Boys to Men into cattle decapitation.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably exactly why it happened. Like that, because that was like normal, and we were like, no, we like all this, and we like it enough to be like try to be good at all of it, and Yeah.
You were being musically inclusive,
We try. Yeah, exactly.
right?
We were
Yeah.
woke. We were fucking
Yeah.
Yeah.
2003 woke.
2000. Whoa.
Throughout the albums, so from the first to the second album was a giant sonic leap forward. In my opinion, you can hear the time that you guys, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, that was when you guys really started touring pretty hard. And coming back to the second album, it's like, okay, like clearly you guys have been working on your song structure, your writing, your playing. I mean, literally everything, which will naturally happen to some degree if you're going to be gone. I mean, I remember you guys being literally gone for years of just,
Oh, yeah.
you were announcing tours
I think
every
we
couple
played
of
like
months.
over, I think one year we played over 250 shows, and then one year, and then another year we played like 200 shows, and then another year was like 180 shows. It was like a 4-year period where it was just like we were gone the whole time. And but like kind of like we talked, shout out to Drew Russ earlier, but Andrew Wade, like he kind of was coming up and getting better as we were also
Yeah.
getting better. And so as we all kind of were coming into our own doing what we were doing, like he was getting better at production, Jeremy's getting better at songwriting, getting better at singing, getting better at screaming. We're all getting better at like guitar and kind of like playing live and kind of figuring out what we wanted the sound to actually be. And
Fine tuning.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, it was, I mean, the funny thing is between the first album and the second album, so on the first album, that was an amalgamation of an EP, 2 EPs that kind of came together, and then they're like, just make an album out of that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then the second album was like songs that we like wrote in that first period of time, but then we were like, let's make an album out of it. So we're like, okay, we have like 5 or 6 songs we've been playing live for like a year and a half or 2 years.
And that's for those who have heart, right?
Yeah. So like Danger, Shot in the Dark, Panhandle.
Wow.
All those songs have been played for like years at that point when we went to record them. And we had demos of them that we had like kind of passed out and sold at shows. And so people knew those songs like when where we had played and toured. But then that was like the first time that we were like went and recorded them for real. And that was also the first time we recorded without Andrew Wade, which I think he ended up working on it after the fact, like putting harmonies and stuff on it with Jeremy before it came out. But yeah, that was a weird. We kind of got tricked into. I know this is a weird thing. We wanted to record with Adam D.
Was that at
Zing in Westchester Westchester, Massachusetts, and me and Josh called the studio and we're like, hey, does Adam D work on like all the albums that like get recorded here? And they're like, yeah, I mean, he's in the building all the time. And we're like, oh, cool.
Cool. Can we book some time?
Victory. We want to do a record there. We want to record with Adam D and obviously like listen to stuff that comes out of the studio. That's what we want. We got there and it was just a guy named Eric Arena, and he's like, yeah, no, that he's not. He'll probably come in one time.
No, you actually got to contact him and ask him.
We didn't know how it worked. And
Wow.
so we ended up recording there for a month and however long, and we got to use all of his gear and stuff.
Hell yeah.
All of his amps and all that stuff. And so whenever we did the remaster and he remixed it, we were like, this is like full circle. Like, this is what we really want.
That's crazy. Yeah. When you guys are playing songs, or when you guys go to record songs that you've been playing for over a year, are you pretty locked into how those songs are? Or are you giving yourselves opportunity in the studio to go, should this chorus go a little longer? Should this harmony change? Or are you pretty like, that's what it is?
When with Jeremy, it can go either way. Like, it can be something like, this is how it's going to be, or it can be like up to the last minute. It's like, this is now changed and it's this new way, like on the last day of recording. It can be any way, like whatever's clever. I mean, we're just trying to do like the best version of that song that could exist, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think that there's
it's
any
either
way.
done right now or it's done a year and a half from now.
Exactly.
I never knew that was such a thing. I asked Cove why Saleson's the EP versions I would learn and then go to Warped Tour, and then the course would be like completely different. I'm like, the hell?
Yeah.
Like, why does this happen? Every single EP, and then the full length comes out and it's totally different. That was basically his answer as well. Like,
Yeah, you live with stuff too, and like when you play it live, you're like, oh, this would be cool to kind of do it like this.
Or vocally, I can't do that.
Oh yeah.
For 300 shows in a row, go super fucking high or something.
Yeah.
I mean, we tune down, so like I think
our live versions are usually tuned down.
at least a step.
A step, really?
Some are half.
Some are half. I mean, so up until Homesick, we used drop C as like our main tuning. And then
Yeah, it was just C and A.
well, and then Homesick we did A sharp.
Yeah,
That was the first one we did. We did A sharp, and then we were like, oh well, doors are fucking off at that point. We just went crazy and fucking started
8
going
strings,
everywhere.
the whole
Whatever.
deal.
Then I have
Anything,
to bring out fucking
That's right.
12 guitars
just
on every tour.
crazy. There's all kinds. And then when we were doing Common Courtesy, Andrew's like, well, to play this lead, let's tune this string.
Oh no.
And then it got crazy, whatever. But
Yeah, I had to reel it back after that.
Are you
like-
thinking about that stuff in the studio of like, how am I gonna play this live? Or are you just like,
that time it
let's
was
just
not.
be?
No, it's literally just, is this sick on
Yeah.
the record?
Yeah.
You worry
I'll
about
figure
everything
out
else
how to
later.
do it
Oh,
later.
boy.
But then Hammer happened, and I was like,
Dude, what about the one?
we
that
got to
was-
knock this
What
off.
about the one from the last record that was like that you had that one?
Oh,
guitar-
everything was like a high strung guitar.
It was like C C C C C C. It was,
Oh,
it was,
no.
it was like it was the weirdest tuning
It
ever.
was fucking awful.
It was this guitar was in our practice space. I remember just picking it up and being like, what the fuck is
A
this?
kind of mandolin.
Yeah, like what is
Yeah.
happening here? No, but yeah, we kind of tried.
We're not the smartest.
But the main tuning now is B. So everything that was
Cool.
C before is now B.
Okay,
It's
that's much easier.
it's
vocally.
definitely like I mean when we were younger
Half step.
it was like sing as high as you can, like that was the cool thing, like you have people like Anthony from Saosin or Cove or you have people like Sonny from First to Last, or like all these different singers that are just singing as high as they possibly can, and it's sick and everyone's like, dude, that's tight, we love that. And then it was like, oh, that's not like a realistic range for how Jeremy's voice was. And then we go to play it and he'd be like, let's try tuning it down. And then we tuned it down and he's like, oh, this is way better. I can actually sing this and it's like doable live, and then so we're like, okay, so then we went through and made sure everything was like workable now. And then now we'll write that way. And it'll kind of like be from the beginning of like, okay, let's move this in this key so you can sing it really well. What sounds best now,
Yeah.
But
And having an Axe Effects helps a lot.
yeah.
Pitch
Because
block.
yeah,
dude.
you just pitch it and you're like, all right, how's
Dude, the
this?
Axe
That's
Effects
so
is the
nice.
fucking-
How's this?
Can you imagine being back in like the 90s and having to be like, okay, so
Well, I mean, even back before Axe Effects, we had to do that.
honestly, yeah.
Yeah,
It
'cause
wasn't
we-
that long ago.
No.
So
It was 2016 when we got our Kempers, and then we didn't know about the like transpose function until like a little bit of time into it with the Kempers, and then I was like, I don't want to bring 8 guitars out. Like, let's try and
'Cause
bring less guitars.
Why? Yeah.
And we're like, let's make it a little cheaper. And then it was like, oh, we could do this. And then Jeremy's like, I don't think you guys should do that. Like, that scares me. And I'm like,
yeah, I remember that.
I'm like, dude, it's not scary. It'll work. And there was a few times where it was probably we like start the song and we're in the
Slightly
rock. You're like, whoa,
Yeah,
shit.
there was it happened to me once on this tour in one song.
And
It
it's
it didn't
fucking
switch,
horrifying.
and I was just like, "Whoops."
I had never given any thought to going back to before the audio was recording, but we were talking about stage setups and the blink setup and the freighting and all of those things. I've never gave any thought to before I actually started touring. Of like,
Yeah.
dog, you got to go over to Europe. Like, you need 3 guitars.
Oh,
So how
yeah.
are you going to whittle that down to
Yeah.
1
I mean, we
or 2? Like,
yeah.
how
The
many?
reason
How
we-
much time do we have between songs? Okay,
the
I
reason
gotta
we
tune.
talked the band into switching to Kemper in the beginning, because we used to have to
Australia.
Kevin and I would just buy everything, like, so we would just buy all of our gear. If like we wanted to use this, we would just buy it, whatever. And then at that point we were like, okay, we finished with doing Bad Vibrations. We used some Kemper stuff in the studio and kind of showed us how cool it was. Did some shows with Blink. We're like, Blink is using all Kemper stuff. It sounds great. They sound awesome. Like, we could do this.
We were on Kempers at that time.
We got them, yeah. But remember, we
Before
went and
Blink.
saw them when we did the San Diego show, the Selma
Oh,
one, the first
yeah,
one.
yeah.
That's when I was like,
That's
oh,
when
this
we-
sounds great.
That's when we
Yeah.
went and bought the Friedman JJs.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so we were like, we could do this. And then I was sitting there, I did math. And I was like, to freight all of our gear, because at the time we were running like 2 heads, we had 2 ISO cabs, just to make sure everything sounded the same every day. We had a bunch of guitars, whatever. I think it was like $40,000 to freight gear to Australia. And I was like, look, if the band buys us all new Kempers and backups and cases, it's $18,000 with a discount. That's half of the price of freighting all this stuff to Australia. We'll make it back.
In
Right.
one
Every
tour.
tour after this, we're making money.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then so they go, okay. And so the band's like, okay, sign off. Cool. Yeah, let's do it.
Great.
But then it was like, dude, it's only gotten better since then. Like Fractal now is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, the digital
toured-
game's wild.
I was a Fractal guy. I am a Fractal guy. I use it every day, and it's what a gift.
Oh my God.
Right?
I love
Like,
it.
It's incredible.
Remember back in the
absolutely
day where like when I was starting out in the 90s, because I'm old, it was either you had a crate or PB combo or half stacks. Like there wasn't a lot of in between, and there was always some weird branded thing that you never heard of, and there was always like the Pig Nose stuff and the Gorilla combo amps. But other than
Rogue.
that, yeah, Rogue.
That was my first
Musician Friend.
That was my first guitar amp, was a Rogue.
Yeah, dude.
212.
Musician's Friend. They had stores.
It sounded
Mine was
Dimebag Darrell opened the store over here.
They had a musician's
really?
friend store.
There were stores before
That's
Guitar
like-
Center bought them.
I remember they had
There
Mars
were stores.
Music.
Oh, okay.
That's what they had by us. Was
Yes.
Mars was like they sold Mesa, and I was like, we're going there. I love that.
Yeah.
Did you ever? So I'm sure you had a initial first experience of walking in, buying your first big boy amp. What was that? What was that amp, and what was that like?
My first real tube amp was a PV Triple X, but it's because I wanted a triple rectifier and I just couldn't afford it. And then I
And triple was still in the name, so it's
Triple.
close enough.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
talked
triple.
my mom into going to this
Mom.
Mars Music, and like the guy like did a little demo or whatever, and basically I was like, Mom, I don't want, you don't have to buy, like, because everyone in my family got $500 for their first car, and I was like, Mom, you don't have to give me $500, just like buy me this amp and I'll pay you off the remainder of the money from the 500. And
Hell
she
yeah.
bought me a Mesa half stack, and it was like game changer for me.
Game changer.
Damn. What
Triple
about you?
rec.
I was, so my high school, every other year, it was either the band went on a trip, the school band went on a trip, or the choir went on a trip. And it was the choir's turn to go. And I was a senior at the time. And so we had to raise money to go on this trip. We were selling candy bars or something
Sure.
like that. Or no, it was Krispy Kremes, because Krispy Kreme was like
Oh,
a new
wow.
thing. So I sold a bunch of Krispy Kremes to like go on this trip. And it was like, I think I had to raise like $1,600.
Whoa.
And it was because it was to go to Austria. We were gonna sing in
Sure.
all like the churches in Austria. I swear to God, yeah. And I raised the money. I thought about it. I go,
I love where this is going.
Mom, can I get a Mesa instead?
Your
Like-
your first one was Mesa?
Well, my first big boy
Yeah,
amplifier.
yeah.
It was a Mesa Tremoverb.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah. So she's like
You catfished everyone into getting you enough money.
to go on the trip
To go on the trip.
And then I didn't go on the trip, and I bought a Mesa head instead.
It's all for music anyways. It's
Yeah, and then my
It worked
dad
out?
my dad made the like a 212 for it.
That's
some
awesome.
Eminence speakers
Shout out,
in it.
Dad.
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin's
That's pretty
dad's
cool.
a G.
Yeah, he's an electrical engineer, so
Yeah.
he,
Oh,
like,
wow.
he
Yeah.
knows all that stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, okay, so now going from the second to third album, Homesick,
Mm-hmm.
you guys write the album. So that was actually when you guys actually finally get to work with Adam D. But did you guys? He just mixed it, right?
Yeah. And what we learned from doing it, going up there, we were like, look, we're working with Andrew. We're gonna work with Andrew, spend as much time as we need to make this right, perfect. That was when we started working with Chad. Basically, we're like, Chad, we'll take the tour with you guys if you'll produce our album. And he's like, okay. And we're like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Great.
And so we ended up writing the album. We worked with Chris Ruby from Dead Wears
Yeah.
Prada. We toured with them, wrote up some songs with him, wrote some songs on our own, wrote some songs with Chad on the Newfound Glory tour. That was when we met, or that was when the one we did with 4 Years Strong as well.
Was Chad in there like with the other songs as well, or did you guys just primarily co-write with him?
So we co-wrote with him a couple songs, but then when it came down to like making the album, he was involved like the whole thing.
Oh, he
so
was?
like
Okay.
like we demoed a bunch of stuff, and then when we made the album, like stuff changed and got like doubled or added or like, you know, accentuated or whatever. Yeah, he was definitely a part of the whole thing.
He's also like, do not film me for your stupid skits that you're putting up on this YouTube thing.
I think he
kids.
might have been in. There is some footage of him like FaceTiming. I think we FaceTimed him shit ton. And like he was like always on the computer, and he would like sing to us on the computer, and we're like, oh my god, this is.
He still
fucking
does that to
hilarious.
this day.
Yeah.
Sing to me.
And when he sings, you're like, you can barely tell like what he's trying to. He's like not a singer at all. Well, he is a singer, but like when he's like showing you, like doesn't give a shit. It's like same when he's like showing you guitar parts. He's just like whatever, and then you hear him play, you're like, holy shit, you're like actually really good.
I have a full like hour-long video of him showing me how to play all the Newfound Glory parts.
No way.
Yeah, it's just him with like an acoustic guitar.
Link down below in the description. We're going to give that to you guys. JK.
No, I'm releasing it for $24. It's the Chad Professional.
Chad Pack.
Chad Pro.
Scaff Chad Scaff.
No,
So-
he's a man. Yeah.
So with Homesick, that's another just you guys at the time, was it just you guys working on a record and you just did it, or did you guys actually stop and go, these songs are fucking
That was
perfect?
That was the first time that we actually had like a decent amount of money to like get it done. And then since we did it in Ocala, like we were able to kind of like work on it for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was the first time, like I remember talking to my mom and being like, we're going to make it, Mom. This is it.
Mom,
I remember just being
know.
like, this is crazy. And obviously even what is done now is far surpassed what crazy to me at that time was.
Sure.
To me, I was like, we're going to go play in England. Like that was what was crazy. We're going to play the House of Blues. Like that was what was crazy
Right.
to us. And we were like,
Yeah.
we're going to make it. We're going to play House of Blues. We're going to go to England.
I'm gonna be on my own cell phone playing Mom.
Yeah,
Just watch.
exactly.
That was a big thing
That was
for
the
me.
crazy.
100%.
That was the crazy. Yeah, and to us, we were like, yeah, it's gonna be crazy. This is gonna like change our lives, and like that's the kind of stuff that we thought was gonna happen. We're like, we'll get to play our favorite venue. We'll get to do these things. Maybe we'll get to tour with bands that we're like love, and you know, and at that time we got to tour with Newfound Glory, and for us that was like the pinnacle that we fucking loved them.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like that. We didn't obviously know what was in store.
No.
But we thought it was something. We thought it was cool. We were like, "This is the
Yeah.
coolest shit we've ever made," and we were very proud of it. But yeah,
Justin Hawkins from The Darkness, he was asked, which albums of yours changed your life, and he said, "Our first one, yeah." He's like, that album changed my life. The other ones didn't do anything to my life. Would you say Homesick is the big life changer for you guys? Because that was when you started touring. I mean, you guys had been overseas for those of have heart.
yeah.
Right.
We toured with Maylene and the Sons of Disaster. They brought us to the UK.
Yeah.
I don't know if we.
But
had
as
done
far
Europe.
as hitting it real hard outside of the U.S., I mean,
we were in
the UK when Homesick came out.
yeah, and we did when we were mixing Homesick, we were in Australia for the first time with Parkway Drive.
wow, what was that like?
Suicide
Oh, it was-
Silence.
It was fucking incredible. Was
Acacia Strain on?
Yeah, so we played
Damn.
second. It was like Confessions, Crafter's band,
Crafter.
and then us, and then Suicide Silence, or Acacia Strain and Suicide Silence and Parkway Drive.
That's a fucking kind of
It
weird
was the
bill.
craziest
Banger
tour.
tour though.
Yeah.
It was crazy, and in Australia at that time, metalcore had like As I Lay Dying, like all those bands had been like popping off in America, and they were like
Yeah.
almost probably like on the other side of the peak in America, whereas in Australia it was like, no, this is like the best thing that's ever happened ever. It was
Right.
like the pinnacle of metalcore on that tour. And we played venues that were like 10,000 cap venues and stuff. And we were just like, this can happen? We were like, what? And we were mixing, we got first mixes of Homesick on that tour, and we were like hanging out with the Acacia Strain a bunch, and we played at this one venue, and DL from the Acacia Strain, we were always hanging out with him, and we played it, and he just like looks over at me, he's like, you guys are about to be fucking huge. And I was like, what?
What do you mean?
What DL?
We're gonna be 3 of 5 then? Is that what you're saying?
We're
We
taking
play
your spot.
after you. No, but it was crazy, and we're just like, yeah, do you like it? That's really sweet. He's like, can I have this? We're like, no, it's gonna leak. What? No.
The
Yeah.
days of leaking records.
I was just about to say, I haven't heard a record leaked in.
So long.
Does that happen anymore?
No.
I
Or does
haven't
anyone
heard
I don't think so.
care
I
that
don't
it
think
happens?
anyone cares anymore.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that's just not even a thing anymore.
Yeah, that was a big thing. I mean, and then right when we got it all wrapped up, Tom hurt his arm. We don't know if that's for real or not.
But then that's when.
But then Kevin
That's when you
Kevin
got
came and
this
filled.
guy.
He came and filled in a European tour.
Because I had a passport.
Yep.
was that the qualifier?
Yeah, that was the qualifier.
Yep.
That and learning,
and he was good, and he was incredible. I mean,
That and
he
learning
used-
16 songs that
Overnight.
night and, showing up the
and
next
you had
morning.
the white ESP single cut
I had the double
on that
cut.
on that DVD. I'm just referencing the DVD.
Oh,
now,
the
but
DVD. No, I
you guys are
had
playing
the
in-
homesick,
Yeah.
or
I had the PRS
highway.
looking LTD back then.
Yeah.
And then I bought a like $500 Schecter because I knew that these dudes played Schecter. So I bought one to just go play shows.
I
with
had a
them.
conversation with Adam at Schecter. Shout out to Adam. He's a great guy. I used to try to find that Hollywood special that you used to play, the Neck Through Red.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That was such
Hellraiser.
a sick guitar. Yeah, it was the
still have-
Hollywood special Hellraiser.
I still have that exact one.
Bro.
I'm gonna redo it.
Sell
It's
it
like
to me,
at my
please.
it's at my studio and it's like rusted out
Yeah,
and
it's
like
so old.
crappy
Please
from
dude, send it back to
sweating.
them. They'll refurb it.
I might do that because that was the first guitar I had that I was like, this thing's sick. It sounds
Dude, those
great.
things, oh, dude.
Yeah,
Those were the only neck through ones you could get.
yeah.
yeah.
Those were amazing.
Yep. We liked it just because it came with EMGs, and we were like, at the time, I was like, EMGs is a fucking sickest pickup. I'm like 81 on the bridge. Let's go all day.
Metal, bro.
Yeah.
If it's good enough for Zach Wild.
Well, at the time when we did for those who have heart, we had a really crappy Schecter. It was like a $200 Schecter from Guitar Center. Tom worked at Guitar Center, but we put the EMG in the bridge, and we are like, this guitar sounds awesome. And then we
Right.
realized that you could put the EMG in any guitar and it sounded the same. And we're like, what? And so we're just like, whatever guitar comes with the EMG, that's the one we want.
Yeah.
When you guys started touring really, really hard, your choices of guitars are driven primarily just as they're basically wrenches in the toolbox, right?
Yeah,
Like,
workhorses just,
I need something that won't break.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't break. Great, I'll take it.
Schecter was the first brand that, sponsored us and gave us free stuff and believed in us. Mesa was actually the first brand that endorsed Today to Remember.
Really?
Yeah, TN. Shout out TN.
Shout out.
He was the first person that ever gave us a discount on anything. And I just cold called him and I was like, hey, we're about to go on tour with Dead to Fall. And he's like, who? And I'm like, never mind. Anyway, so we're about to go on tour. We're a real band. We're signed to Victory. And he's
We're
like,
Could you
band.
imagine getting that phone call?
Bro.
Just like
it's
random
like
dudes
me,
just
I'm like
calling you,
fucking
just
like
like
18 years
oh,
old or 17 years old.
Oh, you guys are a band? Cool. You
He's
must get like
sick.
700 of
Dude,
those calls a
and
day.
he's like, yeah, I'll give you. He's like, we have artist discount. He's like, I'll give you like 10% below that. I really appreciate you like wanting to play our amps because at the time, that's to me it was the fucking pinnacle. I was like
Totally.
Mesa.
Still the jam.
Yeah, still a jam.
Still the jam.
Yeah.
Using Mesa right now. But yeah, that was to us. It was just about whatever worked the best. Who believed in us. I always wanted to play ESP, but they always kind of like big dogged me the whole like for always.
I feel like that was
and I had an
kind
ESP
of their-
deal.
You did, and I always was like,
Wait,
I was
what?
I think he
jealous.
was jealous
I
of me.
was so jealous of Kevin because we
My
played
old
before
band
they
had
were
ESP.
live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we
They
had
were very
Schecter.
clicky as I remember them back.
Yeah,
How long ago was that?
Yeah.
15 years ago or whatever?
yeah. They gave them ESPs, but they wouldn't give it to Remember ESPs. And
Yes. Mm-mm.
really, yeah.
That's really
That's
what
Oh,
happened.
you're in that band? Still yes. No.
Yeah. And then as soon as I joined Day to Remember, they
They hooked it up. They did. They gave us a bunch. Well, and when we were doing Common Courtesies, when I switched, you were on ESP at that time too.
He's literally been on everything.
I've
Yeah,
been
he's
on
been on
everybody.
everything.
You're kind of a guitar whore.
I'm like Joe Walsh.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, without
I like to see what's out there.
Sure. Guitars are like shoes, right?
Oh,
And
man.
I have a lot of shoes.
I was gonna say, well,
That's true.
yeah.
Do you
yeah.
still have Mark II C pluses in your front room, or is everything out in the studio now?
No,
It's
there's still a
probably
Mark
still- I
II
was
C
gonna
plus
say
in the
it's
front
probably
room.
still-
I go over to his house, and you're like, "Hey, come on in," and there's just like amps like everywhere. I'm like,
That's how it is.
Oh, okay.
Me and Neil.
Kitchen counter.
Me and Neil love. If me and Neil put our gear together in one room,
It's called Guitar Center.
yeah, the best guitar
greatest,
center, the
yeah.
best guitar center
the
you ever
greatest
went to.
guitar center of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought and sold a bunch of. I probably couldn't prove I'm not a reseller.
It's true.
I love gear. I'm obsessed. I envy you because you get to try all the cool gear.
It's true.
And I just watch your videos so that I can just live vicariously through you.
For me,
They don't give us shit. They give you guys. They give you everything.
the gear. I'll tell them to throw you guys some stuff. Don't worry, I got you.
I appreciate that.
Only the good stuff.
At least can we just try the stuff after you're done with it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Absolutely. For me, the gear was always hand in hand in the songwriting and the music stuff because you can pull, as you know, different songs out of different guitars will just make you play
different
a certain
amps.
way. I was always kind of envious of the guys. Like, I have a buddy who's played literally the same guitar since 1998.
Yeah.
A Parker Fly. He can't tell you what a pickup is. He literally does not know. He knows he plays the Ernie Ball Pink pack, and he knows the picks he uses. He doesn't know what he's like. Is this called a tuning key? I think this is a tuning key, right?
Silver.
He just
Chingus.
doesn't know, but he doesn't care. But what he does care about is note choices and what scale he's on, and like he's like one of those guys.
I got all the. It's the curse. I got the gear curse.
Yeah.
Gear is so fun though.
It's the most fun. It like scratches my autism itch or whatever. I don't know. Like my spectrum.
The spectrum itch.
Yeah, that's my thing for me. Is like I just learn about gear. I'll obsess about stuff. I'll just go so deep.
I mean, that is predominantly the bulk of our conversations with my conversations with both of you guys is gear related, right?
Yeah.
How is it? Is this like real
I just
talk,
want to
is it
know.
sick?
I'm like,
Is
give
it
me the
sick?
inside scoop.
Is it not sick? No, it's not sick. Okay, cool. I'll skip it.
Yeah,
then.
we
Like,
just had the diesel conversation.
yeah,
I wrote
exactly.
you about
so,
the diesel too.
so thank you. So I get the VH2, and I'm like, this thing is so rad. And then cold texting me, nope. I was like, what do you mean no? He's like, get the VH4.
I
was like, okay.
actually did do that too.
He was
The
right.
VH4 is what?
The VH4 is magical.
It's
the
what
new
makes
ones are
nothing
sick.
Nothing sounds like a VH4.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, Jerry Finn. I didn't know this until recently. My friend Rick Carson, shout out Rick. He basically was like, yeah, there's an era of Blink-182 where Tom gets a diesel VH4 and then he like starts using it and then like you can hear that spongy guitar where it was like
With the top end.
yeah.
The thing with the top end, like it's not fizzy,
No.
but it has
There's
it has
sizzle.
some sauce in the
Yeah.
top
Yeah.
end, right?
Yeah.
And what I just I get it now. I didn't get it
it's
for a
cool.
long time.
It's
The
cool.
VH4 is sick. The other guy I was talking to about the VH4 was Rascalinets, Nick.
Oh yeah, big fan of his.
Yeah,
I
so
don't
we
know.
were talking about like the Korn album or something that he did, and he's like, dude, they brought in they had VH4s, they broke, so they just got new VH4s in, and he's like, those sounded better than the older ones.
So there are a gazillion different revisions
Yes.
to
Yeah.
the circuit because Peter's always tweaking.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all sorts. Like I don't know anything about those. All I know is my brand new one sounds unbelievable.
The new ones
100%.
the new ones sound
It's
good
so good.
apparently.
So I didn't know. My big turning point for wanting to get at the VH4 and the two to that matter was finding out. Sam Pura told me Caven's antenna was
that a diesel?
So they recorded the whole damn thing with their sons. And I can't remember the producer's name. He goes over, so they're on break to get done with the guitars, and they're about to start tracking vocals. On a lunch break, he goes to the other side of the hallway at Energy, and Michael Beinhorn is recording a whole record.
Yeah.
And he goes, this is the most incredible guitar tone I've ever heard. What is this? He goes, oh, it's some crazy German amp called the VH4. And he goes, okay. And they went and they found one to rent and they bought one. And he made them do re-record the entirety of the album with the VH4.
Yeah. I mean, dude, Beinhorn's the man. I did the thing where I bought a bunch of things off him,
Did you?
and I did like 3 full days with him, and he just
What was that like?
he connects your Pro Tools with his, and then he listens on his system what you're doing, and it was for new guitar tones for our new.
We went in on this new
We went
record.
in crazy.
love
I mean that whatever if there is a new record,
Yeah,
we went in on it.
Anyways,
if there was to be a theoretically new record,
if we
they
were to be
theoretically went
working
all in
on
it.
new music,
Yeah.
this is the time.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
so
Link down below in the description, Dropbox link, guys.
yeah. So
It's not leaking.
Beinhorn is so picky.
Yeah.
He is a genius. He's wild. I went through every single cab, every single microphone I
man.
had, every head. And he's just like, no. that one's cool. And I was like, oh, thank God.
How that would be so disheartening if like nothing you have is sick, according to him. You're like,
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But then there's the other side of it of like when all these people made our favorite records, like, you know, like Mark Lewis tells me all the time, like, we weren't sitting there going, what year is this Mesa cab that
No,
we're
it
using?
was
Like,
just what was
does it
there.
sound cool?
Yeah.
Great, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Let's get to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people in the guitar world especially romanticize kind of what was, and they just don't embrace what they have.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
being said, they do need a $4,500 VH4.
100%. Make sure you grab one.
100%.
I don't have a VH4.
Oh, yeah, you don't. But you got some Herberts.
I have a Herbert that was
would love to get a
modded for
Herbert.
me by Peter, and I think I messed it up.
How
I
would
was
you do that?
So me and Kevin bought amps from Diesel, and
Long time ago.
Peter delivered them to us like personally in his like little hatchback car
Whoa.
in Luxembourg, and
He was there for like our sound check,
Yep.
getting them all set up.
and I was like, I'm gonna run I was like, tell my guitar tech, I'm like, can you just plug that tube screamer back in front of the amp? And he's like, what? Why do you need a tube screamer in front of the amp?
That's an argument I can't stand. I'm like, dog, if I want to
I'm
use
like,
it,
I want to fucking juice.
Yeah.
I'm used to the way it makes me. I'm like, I just like the way it sounds. And he's like, well, let me fix it for you. And then he like goes in and like opens the amp up and like mods it in the middle of this venue, like
Starts
as we're
putting
like,
in different tubes and
like
stuff
just
like
crazy
that.
shit. And he's like doing stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, no, you won't need a tube screamer. And I'm like, okay. And then so I like plug it in, and I'm like, when he leaves, plug it back in. And I did. But then now that channel's all fizzy and weird, and I've heard like other Herberts that are like incredible, and I think it was because of me that he like. And so
You know how your tastes change over
yeah,
years.
of course.
So.
Like, oh my gosh, yeah, like
tastes do change.
Big
All the time.
Big time.
I still love tube screamers.
Tastes don't change.
Yeah.
It does it chug? No, but yeah, I think I ruined that channel too. The channel 3 still sounds great, and channel 1 sounds cool, but like that's not why you use that amp.
I want a D-mole.
Jeremy
That's
has
the
one.
amp that I got
I want one.
for way back. It was their new amplifier at the time,
Yeah.
and I got
Jeremy
it.
has one of those now.
And
still.
I think it was because we were on tour with Your Demise,
Stu.
and Stu had one, the guitar player from them.
Comeback
And
Kid, right?
no,
no,
Stu.
Stu
he was only in
Haichi.
he was in just Your Demise.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he was
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
only in Your
Oh,
Demise.
okay.
But I was like, what the fuck is that? Every time he was sound check.
It just sounded
If you're
aggressive.
getting, do you ever, are you guys going gear shopping on tour? Like, are you hitting guitar shops?
Oh,
like,
we went today. Emerald
we
City.
went to Emerald
We
City.
were
right.
gonna go to Thunder Road, but they were closed today.
Yeah, Frank.
Yeah.
Way
Shout
to
out
be
to Frank.
Yeah,
way to
Love
be-
Frank.
way to be closed when we're in town.
He probably closed because he knew we were here.
Let's text him. Let's get him down here right
For
now.
real.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Frank.
I saw him recently in Franklin at the Franklin Guitar Show in Tennessee.
Oh yeah. If there's a guitar show, chances are Frank is there
I haven't seen Frank in
I've known Frank since 2005.
on the last day.
yeah.
They
Yeah,
stayed
dude.
at my house.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're the reason we signed a Victory on the last day.
That was such a time. So my old band at the time, we played all the time with Aiden, and like when they signed, it was like, what? You were on a real label with what the fuck is
Yeah.
what? You went on tour? How did you do that?
Yeah.
You just go and you just leave, and you're like, where? What? How do you do that?
Yeah.
Touring back in the day, I always think about that. I'm like,
Remember the list? Everyone had a list, a database of like promoters and stuff where to send your demo tapes
Yeah.
to, and then like there was a punk rock list of like these clubs were like pretty cool, these clubs weren't, and then like you would just go through and go, hey, the state I'm looking for it, can we just jump on a show? And like that's how you did it.
and do you remember how thick the folder was of MapQuest?
Yes, dude.
was
I
on
was
the first
explaining to
couple
my
tours
daughter
of
how
us.
we got around. She was like, you just brought it up on the maps. I'm like, well, yeah, but honey, there was no
wasn't
smartphones.
that.
And she was like,
Yeah.
well, then did you just
I remember when the Tom Tom came out, and I was like,
The Garmin
oh,
and all that.
yeah.
You were just describing like, okay, there's going to be a telephone pole that's slightly crooked, and there's going to be a wanted poster on it. You're going to take a right there,
Yeah.
and then there's going to be a driveway. The second driveway, you're going to hang a left, and then
Yes.
like
Then there's going to be
That's-
this old lady named Marge. She's going to yell at you, take
she's
a
going to
look
throw a cat
before.
at you.
You say, are you guys here for the rock? What are you waiting for? Follow me.
here for the rock?
This actually happened to us.
So what about when you're in Europe? Are you worried about like shipping stuff back, or is this go into the crate?
Did you bought a snare drum in Europe?
I did buy a snare drum in Europe. I just put that in my wardrobe case.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to slow
we have
down on
wardrobe
buying gear
cases.
now. I'm trying to slow down.
So you graciously, we were in a situation where my band's stuff got left at the airport in Seattle, and we were playing Download with fucking Maiden, and we had no gear.
Yeah.
And you graciously, I made a post, and you texted me. You're like, "Oh, dude, I'll just leave you a guitar with Joel at Marshall."
Yeah.
Hi, Joel. And I was like, "Well, wait, but like, how am I gonna get?" You're like, "Oh, just
Figure it out.
we'll figure it out." I was like, "What do you mean, just figure it out?" Like, because I'm the paperwork guy for with my band, so customs forms.
Oh
like,
yeah.
I don't have.
I didn't think about any of that.
I don't. How am I gonna get this
I
back?
didn't think about any of that.
So my guitars
Like,
show
whatever.
up. Sean's don't.
Yeah.
So Sean has your guitar in his lap in our van for like 3 days
That's awesome.
because it's Neil's guitar. Like nothing can happen to it. So it was just in his lap, and then we play in Glasgow, and we're
Yeah.
like, hey, how come no one showed up to our show? Oh, how come? Oh yeah, everyone's at the Day to Remember, like a block away. We're like, fuck. But hey, we can give him his guitar back though. So we walk down and give you your guitar
Yeah.
back. That was hilarious.
Was it like the one you actually use on
No,
stage, or was it,
was
like,
like it was like
C
my
guitar?
main backup.
okay.
It was like my C backup.
yeah.
But,
It was
uh,
an awesome guitar though. It
it
sounds
was.
so good.
Should've just kept it.
Yeah, that one.
We
was,
had no way to ship it back. We had no case.
Yeah, I didn't have a case for it because it was in the vault.
it was in the
And so
vault.
I just that's
Yeah.
why I left it with Joel. I was like, "Can I just leave this here?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll hold on to it for you."
Yeah, my guys were like, how are you going to get that back home, man? I'm like, I guess I'm paying to ship it back or something. I don't know.
You could have just.
We just
left
happened
it
to see
somewhere.
you.
Yeah, no, that I wasn't worried about it. I was like, "We'll figure
That
it
was
out."
very nice of you. So
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
mean,
You really got us out of a pinch.
Look, I grew up with the mentality. I would hope someone would do the same for me. You know,
For
in those
sure.
situations, it's like letting people stay at your house. You're like, my mom's like, yeah, they can stay at our house because I hope one day, you know, when you're on the road and you need a place to stay, someone will do it for you.
I stayed at Neil's house numerous
yeah.
times.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was the spot. Like when you played in that area, you could just come stay at our house.
Yep.
But that was like the idea is like, you know, I would hope that someone would do that for me if like we showed up for it and we had a great opportunity and
Sure.
and my guitars didn't show up. I'd
Sure.
be like, please, someone let me borrow a guitar. You know, like you'd hope that like the universe would like work out that way for you.
Have either of you had any nightmare gear situations in the middle of a show?
One time we flew into this festival with what was that band? It's like a radio rock band, and they like have a lot of harmonies. They have like one hit. It's like "Seeing Red" or something like that. Not Unwritten Law, but
Chevelle.
Yeah, Chevelle. Yeah, so we played a radio festival with Chevelle, and we flew in on a plane that had like, we had all of our gear underneath the plane, but then when we got to this one plane, we're like, none of our gear is going to make it on this plane. And our tour manager at the time is like, it'll be fine. And we're like, it's not going to be fine. Like, it's not going to come.
It's never fine.
And
It's
so
fine.
when we got there, none of our bags made it. Nothing. The only thing that made it was the mail for the area.
Great.
And so,
I think, was that when my one bag showed up?
something like that. Yeah.
Even though I had two bags?
Great.
And so we get to the show and they're like, look, we don't have any gear at all. And so we like rented like a Fender, like I had like a Fender Strat or something.
Yeah, it was
like,
real weird.
It was weird stuff. And like, that was the only real gig nightmare that
Yeah, it's not so much gear nightmares. It's like,
Yeah.
am I going to be sick at this show? Like, remember that one show where you were pooping backstage in a garbage can,
Oh,
but
yeah.
while still playing?
that was in
Oh, yeah.
Berlin.
He was playing backstage. just
I ate
like-
one of those like gas station like bratwurst from some German gas. It was not a good idea. And it was not a good idea. I played the whole show and I was sitting on a bucket and I was like literally pooping in this bucket playing the show. It was not good.
We were in Detroit, and Hans, hi Hans, we love you very much. He had eaten, against his better judgment, across the street from the venue was a Philly steakhouse, very famous. But they had all the photos of really famous people were like super sun faded, and everyone was like, all the photos were taken in the 90s. So like 90s Will Smith and 90s Martin Lawrence was there, and Biggie Smalls had been there with a Philly cheesesteak, whatever. So we all get Philly cheesesteaks.
that checks out.
This is in Philly?
Yeah.
Is this South Street? Is this
There was nothing else around. It was
Is it silver? Is the outside silver? And it's like a dinery looking?
right across the street from the venue.
It's Jim's.
Jim's on South Street.
Yeah.
This actually happened to me the last time I ate there. I had
We thought
messed my
Hans
stomach up.
might need.
Oh yeah, you literally just happened to me, dude.
Like
This
2
just-
weeks
on
ago.
this tour. This happened to me. This
3 weeks
exact
ago.
thing. I mean, I fucking love Jim's. Don't get me wrong.
We were
but-
worried. Hans is purple, just purple. And he's like, I don't feel good. We're like, bro, we just got our dream tour with the Used. We're on tour. Like we're the only opening band, sold out show. We go on in 5 minutes. He goes, I have to shit again. My butthole hurts. And like off he went. And like I didn't see him until the first chord of the first song. All of a sudden Hans comes out limping around playing, and he played the show.
Wow.
But we thought he was gonna die.
Yeah, it's
He was just
touring is not easy, and it's not easy for reasons that people will never tell you. It's that like
Yeah.
you can't like
When we saw you at Glasgow, you guys couldn't find a bus. Do you remember that? Like you guys were
yeah.
touring and
That
hopping
was-
like
Oh,
that
that
was-
tour, yeah.
dude, that was the-
So we had a bus, but we didn't have a driver.
yeah. There was no driver,
So
the
we
driver
showed
shortage.
up. We showed up, and they're like, "We don't have a driver for you." We were like, "What do you mean?" Like that's
They're like
it comes with the bus.
like
they're
because
like-
COVID. That was the first tour back after COVID
Yeah.
for
yeah,
us.
because all the bus drivers had now become like
Amazon.
DHL, FedEx,
Yeah.
Amazon drivers, and didn't come back to tour bus driving. So we ended up, we had to rent like how many
5.
sprinters?
I think we had 5 sprinters.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
guys had like the
5 sprinters.
cavalcade, but you guys were out of time for those or something because you're
we were able to. The last show we played there was the last show we could play and not lose money.
yes.
And so we literally like it was like, look, our tour manager came to us and was like, I hate to be this person, but like, you're going to have to pay out of your pocket to continue to do these shows. And it was like, I think we had like 4 or 5 more shows left.
I think it was like 2 or 3.
Yeah,
thought.
something like
Yeah.
that. And we're literally like, all right, well,
Just go home.
I guess that's it. Like we can't have, because we were coming out of COVID and we
Yeah,
were
yeah.
already like 2 years of not making money. And
Yeah.
then like our first show back, it's like, this is going to be amazing. And then they're like, look, this is what's happening. We're like, we're just happy to be here. We
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah.
This is
I
great.
like looking at the countryside.
yeah. It was fun. That tour was like really fun.
Yeah, it was
actually.
awesome.
In general, how has touring changed over the last 15 years for you guys?
It's just way more expensive.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Bonkers expensive now.
Bonkers expensive.
it's crazy. It's expensive. It's like, I mean, we said earlier, we want every show people come to be better than the last one.
Sure.
That's 100% how we feel too. Just so trying to like come up with new ideas and do things that like people haven't done or do them in a way that we haven't done them or trying to make it exciting for people. And like, that's kind of like the way that, every tour is just a nightmare. We, wait till 1 week before the tour and then we get to work.
Yeah.
No,
No,
yeah.
we actually do put a lot of work into it though.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
It's
it's
insane.
honestly like a stress relief to just get on the tour
Yes.
because you're
Sure.
so stressed getting it together
Just
before.
get it going.
I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to just
And there's
start.
the first day, there were the first 2 or 3 days, like whenever we'd have like, if we started a tour somewhere and I had family, like, please, it's the first day, please don't come.
Yeah.
Please do not come.
Our first day, your dad was at our first day.
Yeah, but we had done like 3.
Your dad is
We had
cool,
done
though.
like 3 weeks before, so we were like ready.
Oh yeah, no, this is the most prepared we've ever been to a tour. We did like,
Great.
we did 3 weeks in the studio,
Yeah.
switching all of our stuff to stereo. So we're like full stereo now.
Hell
Kevin and I
yeah.
are full stereo. And then like kind of going through and like fixing everything. I think we're like running new playback stuff now. So like, switched everything from Pro Tools to Ableton. Now it's all Ableton. Just like making sure everything is working
Dialed,
and right and
locked.
correct,
It's
and
dialed.
like choosing tunings and like making those decisions and like doing all this stuff. And
Okay, well, I'll be the judge of that. Show report down below in the description, guys.
yeah, I'm very interested to see what you have to say.
Yeah, we got to go check out your rig, though.
Yeah.
That's what we got to go do.
We
And your
built
rig.
we built the rig. That was another dumb idea I had before this
Oh.
tour. I've been planning this for like a year, and then
It took you so long.
I've been playing this for like a year, and then like we get everything there, and Cowboy, Kevin's old tech, who's with Breaking Benjamin, he was gonna help me build it. Then Cowboy decided he was gonna be in Keith's band
Yeah.
he's in their band, and so he's like with them on the tour now, and so he's like, I don't have time to build the rig with you, and so he built my B rig, used some stuff to finish up Kevin's A rig, forgot to tell me what he used, and so I was like missing parts and stuff in my little stash that I had set aside, and then and so when we went to build it, like Brian, my tech now, Brian, thank you. We had like a week to do it, and then also do tour prep and all this, and then so we built the entire rig from nothing, and just it was. Damn. I'm just glad we're here and it works. Honestly,
I can't wait to see it.
Oh, it's
a monster.
It's huge. It's too big.
Probably. And I guess with that, I'm gonna let you guys go. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
No, we're not gonna talk about the triple rec Rev F that I just bought off Reverb.
Dog.
You did.
What?
Yes. Do you want to
sell me? Did you really?
Do you want to sell me in a year?
It's on its way from. It's on its way from Sweden right now to my house in Nashville.
Yeah, Rev F triple rec. Ooh, chrome chassis,
all blacked out. Everything.
It's the one on Reverb that just came up. We all saw it. We all got the alerts.
I hope you didn't pay for that. I hope you talked him down.
I did.
Okay, great.
Yeah, he did.
Good.
I told him it was going to a loving studio.
That always helps. I feel like
helps.
Honestly, like people really care about, especially those amps.
I care.
Like, dude,
they should be going somewhere nice.
I care.
Yes,
I care.
They should.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I was on all the Opeth, and I'm gonna botch this name. Dimmu Borgir.
Yeah.
Borgir.
Borgir.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have my dual Rev F. Sounds fucking amazing.
His sounds better than any other dual Rev F I've heard.
Over COVID, I had 3 Rev Fs at one point. I sold one to Mick Thompson.
Oh, sick.
He didn't know me. He just literally clicked buy it now, and then the address was wrong, and so he had to write me, and he was like super cool because I'm not supposed to, because it's not covered under the warranty or whatever if you send it to any address other than the one in the Reverb thing.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, we're actually so I'm in a band," and I'm like, "Dog, I know who you are." Also, the address is Henson Studios. It's fine. I'll send it there. It's fine. I'm like, I know V-Man a little bit, so I was like, wow, okay, cool.
If you have any extra Rev F triple Rex, that's what I'm in the market for right now.
I have one.
You want to sell me?
Do you like it?
So I've had a lot of those amps.
It's the one.
It's the reason why I kept it. And it was gone over by Mike B.
Yeah.
You make sure to send that in. I just got 2 done. Apparently he's leaving.
They've been saying that for 10 years.
10 years?
All might have been gone through by Mike, though.
Yeah. I just had 2 go
Mesa's the best. Shout out Mesa.
Shout out Trent.
Love Trent.
Trent is the best. Homie.
Trent is the best.
I love Trent. Thank you. You hooked me up with Trent.
Trent is awesome. He'll call me and go, "Hey, do you want to go to Dream Theater?"
and then laugh.
Sure. Trent's awesome.
Yeah, he's the best.
Trent. Is this where he is?
Yeah.
Is this the show that he would come to if he came to a show?
He's on the peninsula though.
Oh, okay.
So he's like deep in the forests.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. So like it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours for him. Where he's
I always call him at like 6 p.m. my time, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. He's like, it's okay. It's like 3 p.m. here. You're fine. You got like 2 hours. It's all good. What do you need? And then we'll talk for like 2 hours.
He's the best.
Yeah, he is.
I have this friend who's a very expensive friend. His name's Justin York.
Oh yeah, I know Justin.
Oh yeah. We get talking about Justin. Anything, and it's either I'm buying something or he's buying something.
Oh yeah.
Those friends are dangerous.
They're the best friends. Best friends to have.
My friend like that is Max, and it's guitar pedals.
Yeah.
That's why I have.
Neil's got a lot of pedals.
Pedals are so fun, though.
I think I probably have like 400 guitar pedals.
God, really?
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
But but because of Max. Max is like, you should get this. I'm like, okay.
All right.
Bought it.
Pedals are fun, though, because the cost of entry, generally speaking, is
low.
Dramatically less than a guitar and amplifier or something
cool
like that,
too,
right?
because it's like some of the ones he's told me to buy, like some of the old before the guy went to Chase Bliss, I forget his name, he had his little company where it was like the dog was the logo or whatever. Those pedals are worth crazy money now.
Yes, they are.
And
you have the whole thing.
I bought all of them, and Max is like, yeah, these will be probably worth a lot of money one day. I'm like, I don't know how to use this pedal because.
So not only is Max
go to MIT.
an expensive friend, he's also your financial advisor.
Kinda. I mean,
hey, it's a retirement fund.
But here's the thing: is I don't sell shit.
That's true.
It's hard for me to sell gear.
Yeah.
Neil is a gear hoarder.
Yeah, I am. I was able to sell some stuff recently.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'll go through sometimes and just
And
sell.
you're now going to sell me your Schecter that you used on.
That's my first
the
one.
own-
That's the first one
Okay.
they ever gave me. It's good.
Send it to Adam. He'll fix it up.
I need to do that because I literally, it's like I played my last show. So this guitar, I played the last show, probably put it in a case, probably sweaty, and then I gave it to my grandfather because my grandfather gave me my first guitar.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so I gave him, I was like, you gave me my first guitar. You always ask me if I can get you a guitar. He's like joking. And I gave him that one. And he recently passed away, so I got it back. And so I'm going to redo it and like put it in
oh wow,
put it in my,
that's amazing.
I'll send it to you when I get it redone
Okay,
though.
yeah,
And you can just
Please
tell
do.
me if it's good or not.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. It was the only one I ever had.
those guitars were so
The black
sick.
ones were kind of shit. The red ones were awesome.
The red
All
one is-
of the red ones were
Oh,
good.
so good.
I don't know. Maybe it's like the
I don't know.
translucent something.
I had a black one. It wasn't good.
That's what I'm saying. The one that Tom had was black. It was terrible.
Yeah.
The red ones were good.
Red's better.
All right, I'm leaving.
All right.
All right, gentlemen,
Thank you.
thank you so much for coming and hanging out before your show.
Of course.
I appreciate you, and I want to see your guys' rigs.
Let's do
So
it.
we're gonna go do that. See
Yeah.
you, everybody.